this video, I'll be explaining what the array modifier is and how you can use it to simplify your workflow. So make sure you have the object to be array or the object that you want to use the array modifier with is selected, and go to the modifiers tab. It's this blue wrench right here. Add modifiers and generate, and right here array. Now the count determines how many instances of your original object is there in the scene, and this instance cannot be manually edited unless you apply the array modifier. You can go into to edit mode by pressing tab, and if you select one of the vertices and move it around, you'll see that it affects the second instance as well. And now the offsets. So the offsets determine the position of the instance. So there's two kinds. One is constant. The constant is somewhat with reference or with relation to the object's origin, while the relative offset is moreover based on the bounding box of the object. So what do I mean by bounding box? It's this so you take a cube and enclose an object within it. So any shape, be it a sphere or triangle, you just enclose it within a cube, and that is a bounding box. So the bounding box kind of determines the entire area or volume in relation to a cube. To make it easier to understand, I'll just add a sphere. Now if I come into wireframe mode, you'll see that it's just a sphere wireframe, and for this it's a cube wireframe, and you'll notice that this same wireframe will be applied to this. If I go to the object data having the sphere selected and change the viewport display from display as textured to bounds, see that? So it's just a representation of any object in the form of a cube. And let's just go back to the solid view and delete this. Okay, now come back to the modifiers tab, and then the relative offset. So if you've understood it correctly, so you have the bounding box for the cube, which is obviously the cube itself, because the bounding box is a cube version of the entire area of the entire volume of the object. So now changing the value relative offset, this is for the x, this is for the y, and this is for the z, and you can just follow it up like this, because the x is here, the y is here, and the z is here. Same applies. Changing values here will affect the x, and here it will be the y, and here it's the z. So an offset of 1 would mean that it's flush with the original object, and with constant, however, you'll see that giving it a value of 1 on the x would just bring the objects one edge of the object to the origin of the original object. So to better explain this, I'll just go back into solid view and bring this object right here. So right now it's not actually properly aligned with any axis. Now it's not aligned properly. Now what we can do is, if we select constant offset, you'll see that it's always with reference to the object's origin and not with the world origin. So previously when we had at the world origin, you could easily misunderstand that it's actually with reference to the origin, but actually it's with reference to the it is with reference to the origin, but not the world origin. It's with respect to the object's origin. And then we have merge, which just allows the very adjacent or very close vertices to merge on itself. So you wouldn't see any jagged edges or gaps between your objects if you are going for such a look on your object. Now I'll just turn on relative offset. It's for the purpose of this tutorial. Now object offset. Turning on this, and I'll just turn this off. So now I don't have an object right now. I'll just add in an empty right here, plain axis. Now I'll just bring this up here, and now if I select if I come to the modifiers tab with the cube selected, you can just use the eyedropper, or you can use this to select the empty from the drop down, or you can just select it using the eyedropper and select it like this. So now you'll see that if I select the empty, I'll just go into wireframe to see the empty better. So you'll see that the empty decides where the cube is positioned. So the empty's origin is where the instance uh, refers to. So now if I click on the cube once again and just increase the count to maybe 5, you'll see that moving this will affect the offset of your cube. So why would you use this? It's just a easier way to um, offset your objects visually rather than just using the scroll or the value input available. We'll not be going through the UVs. It's just uh, not the most essential part right now. It's just for the basics. This is pretty good for a good understanding about array modifiers. So if you enjoyed the video and if you learned something new, do leave a like and please do comment. Um, Subscribe if you wish to see more of this content. Thank you.